Jingmei, the Head of Advocacy and Communications here at Breast Cancer Foundation. So happy that all of you can join us here for our first Fireside Chat celebrating this special month of International Women's Day live on Facebook and Instagram. Breast Cancer Foundation, or we call ourselves BCF, is a non-profit social service agency that advocates for early detection for breast cancer and supports the breast cancer community here in Singapore. We are privileged to have Singapore's well-loved celebrity artist and theatre director Pam Wee to share her personal story and moderate this evening's chat. I'll now hand the time over to her to introduce the rest of the panel and get the ball rolling. Over to you, Pam.
Thank you, Jingmei. Thank you. Thank you so much to Breast Cancer Foundation for having me. I lost my mother to breast cancer at the age of 27, so this topic is a very dear one to me. And I'd like to thank Breast Cancer Foundation for organizing tonight's Fireside Chat. And I've always wondered why it's called a Fireside Chat, because in Singapore it should be an aircon chat. But I'd just like to introduce the wonderful panelists with me this evening. We have Evelyn Ong, who is a breast cancer survivor. We have Dr. Jingmei, who is a breast cancer researcher. And we also have Mr. Benjamin Kheng, who is an artist, singer-songwriter with SONY as well as Fly. So welcome all of you. And you know, we're going to cover a wide range of topics, I think, this evening. We want it to be very informal and want to just really actually be just a very casual chat. But thank you all of us for joining us online, first of all, both on IG and Facebook. Maybe we start with some scientific facts first. And I'm going to ask Dr. Lee, what are the rates of cancer like in Singapore at the moment, breast cancer?
Breast cancer is certainly a very big problem in Singapore. How big, you may ask?
Yeah.
It's the most common cancer among women. And the number of new cases of breast cancer diagnosed in Singapore is like the next 2 or 3 most common cancers combined. That is how bad.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's not just a big problem, it's also a growing problem. Why do I say that? It's because within the past 40 years, the number of new cases that are diagnosed every year has gone up by 3 times. So it's not just a big problem, it's also a growing problem, but the issue here is not about the problem, but what we can do about it.
Yeah.
So in comes like mammography screening, which we do have a national screening program, but the problem is that not enough women are going.
Okay.
So for an effective screening program, we need at least 80% participation rate. So, well, I'm going to stop here with the statistics and numbers. I'm going to make this interactive. So I'm going to ask my fellow panelists and our moderator, what do you think is the participation rate of mammography screening in Singapore? You will get a prize if you get the closest answer.
Wow. Okay, so what is the
participation rate of mammography screening among Singaporeans?
So what is the percentage of women who go for mammograms at the mammogram going age?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so that's like 40 and above, right?
50 and above.
50 and above.
Actually, yes. You guess first.
Okay, so she's given us a clue and she said that it's like not, I don't think it's very high. I'm going to go at 15%.
Ooh, that's bleak.
Why are you clapping? Is that the answer?
Got prize, no? Got prize.
What do you think?
Singapore must be competitive. Yeah.
15%. I'm going to go with 16%.
This is a gambler.
This is This is Price is Right. It's not Price is Right.
That's a prize, you know.
I'm going to be a bit more optimistic. I'd say it's probably about 35%.
Find my prize. The prize is a box of chocolate. So the participation rate, or the number of people going, percentage of women going for at least one mammogram in the correct age group is 40%.
Hey! Not too bad.
Too low.
No,
We'll share.
we can share
Thank
this.
you.
But the problem is that even though at least like 40% of the women who are supposed to go for mammogram went for at least one mammogram, mammograms don't work if you don't go back for routine screening. It's like dental checkup, you see.
Yeah.
So if you go for one time, your dentist says that everything is fine. It doesn't mean that the next time when you go back, you don't find a cavity.
Yeah.
So you need to go for
So you have
routine
to
screening.
keep on going back.
Yeah. And the routine mammogram, the repeat mammogram rate is only about 15 to 20%.
Right.
Oh.
Okay. So that's closer to what we were guessing.
Yeah, that's right.
But
You get
also,
some chocolates
We
too.
can share.
but also, what I wanted to highlight was that we found out that actually in recent years, breast cancer is affecting younger women, younger and younger, and it's no longer a problem that is just for women above the age of 40. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that. What's happening, why it's happening, why are younger women getting breast cancer today?
That's an interesting question. I don't have the answer for it. So the only way we can, take care of the problem is that we know our personal risk and do breast self-examinations, for example, because mammography screening between age 40 to 49, even though the national guidelines say that, women above age 50 should go for screening every 2 years, between age 40 to 49, you consult your doctor, talk about the pros and cons of going for screening for mammograms, then you can choose whether or not you want to go every year. But below age 40, then it's a different story because the technology doesn't find cancers very well in younger women.
Right.
So then what we can do is breast self-examinations, ultrasound, and maybe, some of our other panelists can tell us more about it.
So what we have actually, I've actually found out is that when breast cancer affects women below the age of 40, that means younger women, very often it is a very aggressive type of cancer. So that's very worrying, and which is why the monthly breast self-examination is so important. And maybe I'll ask Eve to tell us a little bit more about her journey and how she discovered her cancer.
Okay, happy to share. I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer at the age of 42. And it was really coincidental. I mean, I followed the guidelines. I started my mammogram when I turned 40. And when I was 41, my mammogram was in January. And it was good, all clear. The doctor said nothing wrong. And I just go on with my life. In parallel, I have another friend who had a relapse, and she was very upset because she had this entire journey. She had lumpectomy, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and there are still cancerous cells in her breast, so she was very upset. So two of my friends, and we organized a mahjong session just to cheer her up. And it was that night when we were playing mahjong, cheering her up. And I went back to bed, I went to sleep, and I thought that, it has been a while since I last did my self-examination. The mammogram was in January, at that time was already October. So I said, okay, maybe I should check to see if there's any lump. So the best part is, I didn't find the lump. I couldn't feel it. It seems perfect. And at that time I had a partner, and I asked him to help me check. Because, and he did, and he was very aggressive about it, because I think men doesn't have this knowledge that, women's breast hurts, when you press too hard. So he was just pressing, and sure enough, he found a lump, which was very close to the armpit. And he told me that it feels like a lump. Is it a lump? And I don't know how it feels. I'm not sure, is it supposed to be painful or hard or soft? And I felt it myself, and I have to lift my armpit to really feel the lump. And true enough, it was there. So and I didn't do anything. I checked all my insurance policies, make sure that it's intact before I go see the doctor. Yes, so that's how I discovered the tumor. And I saw the doctor send me for biopsies, and even the lymph node that's closest to the tumor was positive. So it was stage 2, and I have to have chemotherapy, and I had a bilateral mastectomy as well. Yes.
Can you tell us why you decided to have a bilateral mastectomy, or was that something that the doctor recommended?
Well, the tumor is on one side. Through more examinations, there are actually unhealthy cells on the other side as well. So the doctor will explain, this is a healthy cells, this is a cancerous cells, and there are 5 stages. Yeah. So mine was really mutating, stage 3. So it's just a matter of time before it turns cancerous. So never mind, just get rid of it. Yeah.
Do you have a cancer history in your family?
A lot of cancer histories, but no breast cancer. My own dad passed away from pancreatic cancer. Okay. I had another uncle pancreatic cancer, my grandmother lung cancer, I had my auntie ovarian cancer, leukemia. Yeah. So it's all from the on side, my dad's side of the family. Right. But there was no one with breast cancer.
Yeah.
I was the first, and definitely the first in my generation, the cousins' generation.
Okay, so then maybe I'll bring this over to Ben. How old were you when your mother passed away?
When she passed, I was 12. It was I think 3 days before my PSLE, so it was
goodness.
I didn't do too well.
Oh my goodness.
But-
How old were you when she first discovered that she had breast cancer?
I was 8. So she fought it for 4 years. She discovered it at 40. She passed at 44. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
really young. Yeah, and how much of it do you remember?
I remember a lot of it. It was very visceral for me because my mom, she was very articulate about it. She was also a very emotional person, but she was able to sort of crystallize the experience in a way that I, as a young kid, would understand. Even my sister at that age. So, and I would go from crying to, you have to understand why mommy is crying. And this is exactly what I am going through. And I wanted to share this story. It's so funny. She was so good at involving us in the process of her journey. I remember the day she came back she healed up from her operation, right?
So she had a mastectomy as well.
She had a mastectomy. She had one breast removed. And I was young, so I was in the shower with her at the time. And it was going to be the first time I saw the scar. So she did this silly thing, which I will always remember. She draped one towel over the side of her shoulder. So it was the side that was cut. And then she was like, and she role played. She was like, well, honey, you look ravishing today. Then she flipped the towel and she pretended to be a woman. She was like, oh, stop it. And she did this whole silly role play. And it immediately demystified a lot of things for me. She was very candid about the whole process. Even though I was in primary 2 or 3, I was brought into the world of chemotherapy and radiotherapy. I was made to understand the struggle she was going through and the eventual, decline. So I was prepared for it. It still hurt, obviously.
Yeah.
But it made me feel like I was a part of it. Made me feel very involved, and that's why I feel I'm so invested in the journey.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine. I lost my mom when I was 27, and it really felt like the end of the world. So I can't imagine what it's like for a 12-year-old to, have to experience that as well.
It's you never get over it.
Get over it. Yeah, and you miss your mom every day. So how would you say your dad supported her at that point?
Oh man, he's the best. It was so hard because financially it was just such a burden. I remember there was a day where, and I don't think we were fully covered as well. So it was a day where I just remember him walking away from an ATM because we were just down to almost nothing. But at the same time, it was a conversation with my mom. She wanted a certain kind of treatment, obviously, and it was hard to say no to that. But he was there from the first to the last treatment, and he was there on the day as well. So, yeah, he was really supportive. He was really all that we could ask for in that journey. Yeah.
What about you, Evelyn? What about you? You mentioned that you had a partner, and I realized that it's past tense. You had a partner who helped you discover the lump. So what happened in that support journey?
So I think the word to describe was disappointment, because he was not very present during my initial journey, because I was diagnosed around the end of the year. So there was he was already planning to visit his family overseas. And of course I got a diagnosis and I got my treatment plan. I have to start my chemotherapy. So one would expect your partner to change your travel plans and be there with you, right, to go through the chemotherapy and the side effects and whatnot. But he didn't. And instead of, changing or canceling the trip, he even asked to extend the trip. So he was basically absent for the first 2 cycles. But I was not alone. I have my family and friends. But that was, I would think that.
You're thinking, I'm going through this physically and emotionally, and I would really like my partner to be beside me.
Exactly, yeah.
So for me, I was 27 when my mom passed away, but the 6 years that she spent fighting that, I was in university, everyone is like, and there was a lot of guilt as well. Like if you're not able to accompany mom every time to a chemotherapy session, which can be 3-4 hours long. My dad was a stroke patient, so he found difficulty walking. So it was like, when I look back, she had to attend a lot of chemo sessions on her own. I do regret that, but she was a very strong, independent woman, and she always said, it's okay, you gotta go to school. So I'm just sitting there like receiving chemo anyway. So, but maybe at this point I'd like to bring up the fact that Breast Cancer Foundation has a befrienders group. If you find yourself alone, or if you find yourself not being able to talk about this to anybody close to you, Breast Cancer Foundation does offer an emotional support group where there will be a one-on-one befriender situation. You'll be matched according to your profile. And the befrienders are actually breast cancer survivors themselves who are trained in basic counseling skills. So if you find yourself alone in this journey, or you know someone who is alone in this journey, please reach out to BCF for this befrienders situation, this befrienders group. There are also actually these other amazing groups that Breast Cancer Foundation, on the second Saturday of every month, there are these support groups that come together, and they actually cater to different types of people, English speaking, Mandarin speaking. There is the young women's group, and there's also the caregivers group where a lot, if you're a husband struggling with somebody who is a breast cancer patient, or a son, or there is a special breakout group for men to talk about what they are going through as well. And there's also an advanced stage cancer support group. So there are all these wonderful programs and groups that are available at BCF. So please do reach out if you feel that you need some help. So I noticed also, Evelyn, you are wearing this very bright pink jacket.
Yes.
I have a friend who had breast cancer at the age of 26, and then she very gung-ho-ly joined this dragon boat team. Then I'm like, hello, what's happening? So what I found out is that dragon boating is a very encouraged sport for women who are recovering or in remission from breast cancer, because it activates. Maybe you can show us and you can tell us.
Okay. I'll show off. Is it like?
So what's the action? Why dragon boating?
Okay, so
Wait, and what's your group called?
Paddlers in the Pink, PIP. Not paddlers in pink, but paddlers in the pink of health.
Yay!
Can the camera see?
Yeah, I get it.
Yay. Yes. So many of us breast cancer survivors, we do have our lymph nodes removed, because that's usually the next part, right, after it's spread. And if you have a lot of lymph nodes removed, then there is the chances of getting lymphedema is very high. So lymphedema is the swelling of hands. So dragon boating with that action sort of, activates that upper body movement, and it keeps it active. So in addition, in Singapore we have the PIP, Paddlers in the Pink, but this is actually a very popular sport worldwide. Every 4 years there is an international race for all dragon boaters around the world for all breast cancer survivors.
Wow.
So once every 4 years we represent Singapore.
How's our Singapore team doing?
Not bad. Pretty good.
Because
yeah.
in the water, Singapore very competitive. This one is ex-national swimmer. Then, like this, like sailing lah, swimming lah, Joseph schooling lah, this paddling, like water sports.
Benjamin schooling.
Okay, so what I wanted to ask Dr. Lee was that, the monthly self-checks are so important, and it's so easy to just be complacent about it and think that everything's okay. But what I found out from all our chats is that women hitting the age of 20, you should be already doing your monthly breast self-check every month. So maybe we could have a demonstration on how we should go about it, so that we can share with our people who are live on IG and Facebook now. What's the proper way of doing a breast self-examination?
Do we have material from the Breast Cancer Foundation, maybe?
Yes, you can definitely go on the Breast Cancer Foundation site there's a page that teaches you how to do it. But if I'm not mistaken, you should do it in the shower or lying down, right? And you should do in circular motion. And you go from out all the way up to your armpit, lymph nodes, and then you go all the way in, working your way in towards the nipple, correct?
And don't be gentle about it. Like
You
what
have to-
Evelyn
yeah,
said,
you have to press
be
down.
aggressive.
Yeah, and then you go down and up, and then to the sides. So basically just cover all parts of your breast, circular, then up, down, right, left. And you know the breast is lumpy. There are some natural lumps in there anyway, but if you examine yourself monthly, then you will know when the lump feels different. Wait a minute, this wasn't here last month. Okay, I'll monitor. Then the next month, if you know what I mean, if you keep on monitoring, that's how you detect breast cancer early. When you detect breast cancer early, the chances of treatment and recovery, it goes up to 90%. Am I right?
Stage 0, stage 1, chances of like surviving for 5 years after diagnosis is above 90%.
Yeah. Okay.
The earlier you detect it, the treatments are less aggressive, you have
Yeah.
a better quality of life,
Okay.
chances of survival is very high.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any other signs that you would like to share with us? Like, I think recently we found out from WHO has said that breast cancer has
Surpass lung cancer
is the #1 cancer in the world right now
among women.
among women. Okay, so it has surpassed lung cancer. It's now the #1 cancer among women, and that is quite worrying. Is there any other signs that you would like to share, that a little known fact or about breast cancer that we should know about?
Common misconceptions about breast cancer, what do you think? Is like people think that young people don't get breast cancer, but that we covered already. We have more and more young people getting
Yeah.
breast cancer. And it's important that young women take care of their breasts as well. It's like, preventing wrinkles, right? You don't want to do it when the first wrinkle appears. You want to prevent it. Of course, we cannot prevent breast cancer, but at least we can detect it early.
Right.
So the breast self-examinations are important. The other thing is, of course, they think that men don't get breast cancer. But among 100 breast cancer patients, there will be one male breast cancer patient. Yeah. Other misconceptions are like, breast size. Some women think that they have a smaller breast. They wouldn't have like a high risk of breast
Yeah,
cancer.
that's
That's
not
not
true
true.
at all, yeah.
There's no link between like breast size and breast cancer risk.
Yeah. I wanted also to ask Ben, how do you think men could help or support watching having experienced the fine example of your father, and I know recently that you have been through the death of a close friend. How do you think men can help or support?
I think in both my personal cases, the breast cancer warriors were very articulate about it, and they were very ready to share their stories, so we were very involved. But I liken it to someone who's, obviously it's very complex and different, but it's going through a very life-altering hard time. And it's not just being there empathetically, emotionally, it's also just helping to pick up the pieces where they fall. If it's in the family, my dad was chaperoning us to school and swim training. He was being, he was helping her out through her first, her puberty stages. He was being a mom, essentially, as well.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just being there, responding well. And it's also, I think, very important to understand how you feel about it as well.
Yeah.
It's creating space for yourself.
Tell us about the thread that you were talking about
Yes.
earlier.
This is bad. So we were just talking about it over there in the living room. I was on Facebook. I think I was on Twitter, as millennials do, and there was this very incredible thread of I want to say it was mostly from kids' perspectives, but it was of people who again gone through cancer, and it was stories of their partners leaving them in different stages, whether it was at the tail end of their journey or just at the embryonic stages. These guys would and it was all men. It was like 15 versions of different men left.
So I find this interesting. Instead of just like slamming the men, but I really do feel it's a whole culture of men not being able to express themselves, not open to expressing themselves emotionally, and as a result, through a whole lifetime of not expressing yourself properly, when something traumatic happens, you freak out, and then there's a lot of flight. As opposed to staying to fight. So I think we have to equip boys and men to start expressing themselves more articulately. I think it has to start there. And That, I guess, is a whole other conversation. But I wanted to ask Eve then, up front, what not to say to someone who has just discovered they have breast cancer, or someone cancer going through treatment. What not to say? You know, a lot of people are shocked when they find out their friend has cancer, but Dr. Lee was just saying 1 in 5 people will develop cancer.
1 in 3 in their lifetime.
1 in 3.
Any kind of cancer, and then 1 in 3 of that 1 in 3 would get breast cancer.
Yeah, I mean, that is a very, very scary statistic. It is so common. I think all of us will know somebody who has cancer, had cancer, passed away from cancer. We all know someone. So, as a survivor, I'd like Evelyn to tell us what the do's and don'ts of the people around breast cancer survivor or patient.
You know, that's a very good question, because myself, sometimes I struggle after I found out someone has a new diagnosis. Sometimes I feel myself struggling to say the right words as well. So, but from the other side of the equation, I think it really depends on your relationship with that person. And I think most of my friends know that I'm very open, I'm very jovial, and I'm very positive, and I just go through the treatment and go through life. So their messaging to me is also very lighthearted. Some who don't know me that well, like maybe colleagues, they will like, how are you, pray for you. So I think all this are good, and I think what really matters is whatever messages you send to your friend who's just newly diagnosed, I think it's important that you're sincere about it, and you show some empathy in it. And when I say empathy, it's very important, because just to share with you, when I was going through chemo and I'm bald and stuff, I received a text message from a friend, and this friend has been friends for 3 decades, my primary, secondary school friends. And the text came in like, Eve, I saw your picture on Instagram. I think you look better with long hair.
No! Oh my goodness!
Oh, it's true. And I have the screenshot I have to send to all my friends. Like, did you really see
Was
this?
that friend aware that you were going through?
Yes, because she posted a photograph.
Are you still
of
friends?
herself.
Yeah, still friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes people it just comes out.
Exactly. So,
Okay, so don't do that. Don't tell cancer patient that they look better at long hair. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Or, why are you so skinny?
Oh no, don't do that.
Yeah, just be a bit sensitive.
What did you
Because
like
it's
to
not
hear?
by choice that we are bald, you know.
Yeah.
What was the favorite thing that you heard?
Favorite thing? I think I'm Catholic, so I do like when people say that they pray for me and they dedicate a mass for me and stuff like that. I think that's very touching and sincere.
Yeah. I remember when my mother was in remission for 2 years, and when the cancer came back, I remember telling a close friend on the phone, I was quite distraught. I was telling her on the phone, my mom's cancer is back, and her reaction was, "You're kidding!" And I really flipped. It was like, why would I be kidding about something like this? I mean, she didn't mean it as it really meant, she meant, oh no, but it came out as, "You're kidding!" And I flipped. It was just not a nice thing to hear. And in my family, my dad and mom made jokes about it too, because my mom would leave her, what's that called? What's it called, doctor?
So,
I forgot the word.
The fake boob.
silicone?
The silicone boob, the thing that you put in your bra. Yeah, so the fake boob, you just leave it on the table. Then we'll you know what I mean? We'll just play with it
Just play,
sometimes, or make
juggle
fun
with
of it.
it.
And my parents had this thing called they used to call her the one-armed swordsman, and so I mean there was a lot of humor in my house. So we just have different ways of dealing with it. But I don't know, Ben, as a child, I mean, were they very insensitive? You know, I'd like to address people who have children out there who might be affected by breast cancer. Were there any experiences that...
I say one thing that I would always remember. I just wish I took it back. Because my mom was so self-conscious as well. She was always trying to lose weight. She was always in a state of trying to lose weight, always checking her double chins in the mirror and all that kind of stuff. And then I remember when the cancer came back and she had dropped a ton of weight, and then I said the most insensitive thing. But I was 10, right? So I was like, hey mom, looks like you got your weight loss after all.
Oh no.
And like she laughed, but then she laughed into a crying.
Yeah, oh no. Yeah,
And she literally did that, and I was like, wow, I hate myself so much. But
okay,
yeah.
but okay, so that was a thing that you said you were 10, okay?
I was
You just blurted it out.
But I saw the impact it had on her. It
Yeah.
really got her
What,
a very soft spot.
but how would you advise people who have children? What would you say? How should they address the issue of breast cancer with young children? What would you, having been a child that went through it?
Yeah, I think not everyone has the emotional capacity to open up the way that my mom did, or that maybe your mom did as well, or maybe that you are doing. I think it's very admirable. Some people, they want to create that safe space, and it's also in our duty to recognize the need for that, to like give them that space sometimes, but also know that I'm here for you if there's anything you need. But if you feel like you're in that capacity and to share, you've got kids who are young, very impressionable, I would say just fill them in, because it did me wonders, and it really normalized the conversation for me.
Yeah. I mean, having experienced quite a few friends passing from cancer, there was an experience that my friend had a brain tumor, and she didn't want to tell the kids. And I think that's actually harder. Please correct me. I think every family will have their own way of dealing with it. But when you keep it away from the kids, and then when it's in the late stage, and then you break it to them, then everything makes sense to them, and they felt very not
Part of
looped
it.
in. Yeah, and then
journey.
they were like, oh my God, now I'm on a time frame that I have a shorter time frame, and then it made them feel like they weren't important enough to share this information with. But I feel honesty should be. I mean, of course, there are different ways to present this information to a child of different ages, and maybe you can reach out to BCF for the befrienders group to teach you or to get just some advice on how to break this news to a child, how to guide the child through your experience or your friend's experience or your family member's experience of chemotherapy and treatment.
I would also say at this point, if I can, that children are so obviously sensitive to these things. Narelle, when she was at that age, was only 4 or 5, but she was so intuitive with my mom's emotions. I think the same way with other kids as well. They can sense that very strongly.
Yeah, okay. So I think we are able to wrap this up now. I mean, any other thing that you would like to add? Any anecdotes? How many years have you been in remission, Eve?
I was diagnosed 2017, so this is my third, fourth year.
Yay!
Yes.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
You look amazing. Your arms very toned. Then you have a nice tan from
Dragon Boat. Yeah, Singapore very hot, you know.
Yeah, and I really admire your work. That it's just you're a breast cancer researcher, which is like so specific. Is there any kind of science that you would like to point out that is specific to Singapore, or as opposed to the rest of the world with regards to breast cancer?
But first of all, the word you were looking for was implant, yes?
Implant? No, it wasn't an implant. It's the thing that you just... The
Prosthetic, yes.
I cannot decide between
Brain
implant or prosthetic,
or
but yeah, you got it.
left us. Yeah, okay, yeah.
So I was telling Ben just now, so many of the breast cancer risk prediction models, before a woman even gets breast cancer, you can gauge the level of risk. It's just like blood pressure, right? You can measure your blood pressure, you know whether you're at a higher risk of getting cardiovascular disease. You can also do that for breast cancer using genetics, or you can use number of children, other non-genetic risk factors to compute the risk. So all these are usually developed in Europe on European populations. So what we do is we try to calibrate it to the Asian population, see how well it performs, and whether we can tweak it to fit our local population. Also, Singapore is made up of 3 different ethnic groups. We have Chinese, Malay, Indians, and the breast cancer risk in each ethnic group is actually different.
It's different, right.
It's the highest in Chinese.
Right.
So then among the Malays and Indians, it's quite a bit lower.
Oh.
Yeah, so 1 in 13, 1
That's
in
a
15.
genetic thing, you think?
It's also the culture, lifestyle, reproductive factors, because Malays and Indians, they have bigger family, so we have more children, and that would lower the breast cancer risk as well.
Oh yes, so this is something that very interesting. Jill from Kiss 92, the DJ, wanted to ask me, because she's a new mother. She's breastfeeding a 4-month-old. She discovered a lump, and then her doctor told her that because she has breast cancer history in her family, the chances of breast cancer actually increase when you're breastfeeding. Initially, is that true?
So over a longer time, breastfeeding will decrease the risk of getting breast cancer in the future if the woman hasn't got breast cancer then.
Right.
But that might be a transient increase in the risk, after the first child.
Right.
So maybe that's what the doctor is referring to.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. So, for me, for my family, my mother's side of the family has no history of cancer. So to her dying day, she was pretty convinced. Of course, we can never prove it. She was pretty convinced it was HRT, which is the hormone replacement therapy that she was taking because she was menopausing. And she was convinced to her last breath that was what caused it, But that was my mom's journey. And for Ben, you are newly married, and there is a very important woman in your life right now. What would you say to her or your women, the important women around?
I mean,
you?
yeah, I know a lot of my friends actually around my age group, 25 to 30, 32, who have found irregularities or lumps. I mean, most of them are benign. I've had 2 friends around this age who have gotten breast cancer as well. Yeah, please do your self-examinations. Don't skip on that, even at a young age.
Please do that.
And always ask questions. I mean, great resources from Breast Cancer Foundation and Dr. Lee as well. It's better to just be aware.
So there's actually a lot of information on the Breast Cancer Foundation page. Please to check it out. There is a whole page dedicated to how you should do your monthly breast self-examination. And right after this stream, we are going to be putting up a contest. Everybody, we are going to hold a contest. Breast Cancer Foundation is giving away 2 sets of dining vouchers for a 5-course private dining experience for 4. That means times 2 means like 2 groups of 4, 8 people to dine at the Nest at One Farrer. And at this point, I just want to thank One Farrer Hotel and Spa for sponsoring this beautiful suite for us to have our live stream. But yes, more details of the giveaway or the contest will be found on IG and Facebook. You have to answer a few simple questions. You have to tag a few people. You have to follow like that. Got a lot of instructions. But the prize is big. This dining experience is worth $650. Yes. So please do check out BCF's IG and Facebook pages to find out how you can take part in this contest. Also, there will be a QR code. If you want to just support the work that Breast Cancer Foundation does, please scan that QR code and donate generously to the cause. I want to give a shout out to all the breast cancer warriors who continue to live boldly in their breast cancer journeys. Maybe I just want to round off by saying how breast cancer has affected the 4 of us here in different ways, right? Maybe I'll start off how it has encouraged me to live boldly is that when my mother was diagnosed and when she finally passed, I decided that I would make the leap from architecture into the world of arts and be a full-time actor. It was a big leap in 1999, but it was her death that pushed me to live boldly. And my mom was a real superwoman, and I'm just trying to live as boldly as she did. What about Eve? What is your live boldly statement?
Well, after going through this experience, I tell myself, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to try, just do it. Wherever you want to go, just do it. There's really no need to hold back. So when I was doing my chemotherapy, I learned a new music. I tried to learn a new musical instrument because I cannot play a single musical instrument, and I failed. But never mind. I tried. Right. That's all that matters. So I think from a survivor, I just feel that a cancer diagnosis is not the end of the world, and just push through. The worst will be over, and we still can live a very fulfilling life. And being in the Dragon Boat team is very inspiring to me too. The oldest member in my Dragon Boat team is 71 years old, and she's still an active paddler. Most of them are average like 50s and the 60s. So, I like to be with them, and every day I look at them, they inspire me. So surround yourself with good people. I think it's very important that you get inspiration from your community and your friends
Yeah.
as well.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thanks for that. Dr. Lee, what's your live boldly statement?
You know, people always ask me, if you do breast cancer research, does it mean that, you know of someone very close to you with breast cancer? I actually don't. But I have 1,000 reasons to do breast cancer research, and that's because, every year in Singapore, more than 1,000 cases of breast cancer are being diagnosed. So in doing my work, I hope that I can help other women live boldly, live happily, because breast cancer patients have got such high survival rates. They can live so much better lives and such long, fulfilling lives after their diagnosis.
Yeah, so thank you for dedicating your life to doing the science and the research so that others can live boldly and live fulfilling lives. Thanks for that, Dr. Lee. Ben, what's your live boldly statement? I mean,
Wow. But first I just want to say how grateful I am for people like you who really push, the field of breast cancer research. And well, besides the whole accent switching thing, which my mom had so much fun with, right, with that story, I think it taught me to be a team player in those moments, to really learn how to support in the right way, just to be there, just emotionally, physically needed. And I will admit, it took me a lot of years to recover. It wasn't straight away live boldly. It wasn't a big live bold moment. I mean, it fractured my understanding of faith, spirituality, family, everything. But I understood that, it's always a journey, and it's a journey easier travel with loved ones around you who are just there for you. Yeah. So.
and what was your mom's name?
Regina.
Show us your tattoo.
Yeah, she's here. It's not the arcade eating house in Serangoon, unfortunately. They still don't want to sponsor me. But yeah, it's a name. Yeah.
So that's Ben Kheng with a tattoo of his mother on his wrist. So we just want to round off by saying that Breast Cancer Foundation is here for you, for your families. They can provide support for you. They can be a companion. You can also reach out for more information at any time to Breast Cancer Foundation. They are here for you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, and thank you to all the panelists here this evening. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of the week ahead. And in the meantime, please live boldly. Good night.
Yay!